Well, the current ICMA Male Vocalist of the Year is Doug Bruce, and he joins us on the line now. Doug, great to catch up with you, and congratulations on a fantastic album and a great single that has just powered up the charts.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's been a real surprise for me. Actually, I wasn't expecting the attention that it's getting. So yeah, quite happy with it.
Well, everyone knows that when they go along and see a Doug Bruce and the Tailgaters show, they're going to get some honky-tonk music, and the Tears is all about a honky-tonk tune, isn't it?
It is. It's very straightforward honky-tonk. It doesn't get any more honky-tonk than that, I guess. I'm really fortunate that those songs on the album were written by my late uncle, and fortunate that my aunt allowed me to put them on a record.
That must be a real buzz for you, Doug.
It is. It's really cool because, I grew up listening to him sing them in bands that he had when he was younger, and then throughout the years, he'd sing them as he got a bit older, and then after his death in the late '90s, we just had those songs on the old reel-to-reel tapes that were fading, and I think some of them had to be baked to actually get the songs off them. They were so brittle, and some old cassettes here and there. And I've got just tons of them on sitting in the studio, and I thought, well, one day I'm going to do an album of all of his songs, and that day finally came. I said, well, it's 10 years it'll be 10 years since I released my very first EP, and what better time than now to do that? So we put them on there, and people have really responded to it. I'm really blown away, and I think he would be blown away as well.
We're speaking with Doug Bruce and his brand new album, and the brand new single, The Tears, is sitting at number 2 on this week's Country Tracks Countdown. How do you go budget? Everyone knows that you've got the studio, Shoefly Records, that you do a lot of recording for other people as well. You've got your touring, you've got your own recording. How do you juggle it all?
Well, it kind of just juggles itself, really. When we're doing the touring thing, it seems like there's not really a whole lot happening in the studio. And then when the touring slows down, for some reason, the studio picks up, and we're kind of just, it just kind of balances itself out. It's really it's a strange thing, but it's a good thing. So, but the older I get, I think that I'll probably get more into the production side of things. And don't get me wrong, I'm gonna ride the band thing as long as I can do it, and the live thing, I enjoy that. But I reckon, as a natural progression is to progress more into the production thing and sit in the studio and keep going until they pry me off the desk at some point. So,
is there anyone in particular you'd really like to work with?
As far as recording?
Recording, yeah. So when you get into the production and that side of it, is there someone there and you say, gee, I could bring the best out in them?
Oh, there's always someone. I really enjoy working with up and comers. And people that are songwriters and singers who are trying to get a start. And because I know it wasn't that long ago that I was in that position, and so there's a lot of singers. I saw a lot of kids I say kids, a lot of people younger than me anyway, busking on the streets in Tamworth that were fantastic, and you walk along there and you go, wow, that someday that's going to be a star, and you see people like that all the time. But I had one of my, the opportunities that I'd always wanted was with this album. I had Stewie French and Michelle Rose and Vaughn Jones all played on this album, and though they didn't come to my studio, I had to send them tracks, and they would send them back from their studio. But that we kind of collaborated, and that was kind of one of the things I'd always wanted to do, and hopefully that'll happen again.
Well, there's certainly it's a great sound that's come out here, and you mentioned that your uncle has written all of these tracks, which is just a great tribute to what a talented family the Bruce family certainly is, and you've certainly captured it. The sound, from what we've heard of this album, it really does capture that essence that Doug Bruce is really all about.
Well, I hope so. I love the more honky tonk, kind of traditional honky tonk sound, and that's what Buddy was all about. He he loved all that like the Buck Owens, and you can hear a bit of his influences in there, Buck Owens and all those classics. And at the time that he wrote or a lot of these songs back in the '60s, and when he was actually signed to Starday Records, a Texas label, and George Jones was on the same label at the same time. So George went and did big things, and Buddy had a song recorded by Red Savine. He had one song recorded by Minnie Pearl, and one almost recorded by George Jones, but they had a bit of a conflict over copyright and that, and some kind of a conflict, so it didn't happen. So if that had happened, everybody probably knows who Buddy Bruce is, but at the moment, nobody knows who he is. So I thought, well, this is a good opportunity to kind of introduce people to him. So.
Well, folks, get a little bit more airplay, get behind it, because we'd love to give this one a number one where it deserves. It's a great song, and it's a tribute of what's there on the album. Doug, it's been great to catch up with you. We're going out with this week's number 2 track. It's called The Tears. If you haven't heard it, folks, sit back and enjoy this. This is honky tonk at its best. We'll catch up again soon.
Thanks, Dan.